Hi, so welcome back to a new episode of Science in the Break. So a few days ago I received a very inspiring email from Professor Christopher Kit Vaughan. I hope I pronounce it well. He's an emeritus professor at the University of Cape Town, and he shared with me a very inspiring videos about his journey in academia. So I found this story simply amazing. He wants to tell us the pleasure of a life in academia, and I found it as a very positive message. We all know that life in academia can be very hard, and often we hear stories about it. So having such a positive message can be definitely very inspiring, and I hope this can be helpful for many researchers, especially young career researchers. The goal of this initiative is to promote early career research and stimulate cooperation among labs all over the world. Let me know if you want to be the next guest. For now, check it out this video.
In January 1972, I travelled to Grahamstown in the Eastern Cape, where I enrolled as a first-year BSc student at Rhodes University. For my honours thesis in applied mathematics and physics, I developed a biomechanical model of the sprinter. Here is a free body diagram, a diagram in which the sprinter has been freed from his environment and all the external forces acting on him have been drawn. I tested my theoretical model with experimental data, and then for the moment of truth, would my research withstand the scrutiny of the peer review system? It gave me considerable pleasure to publish my honours thesis with my supervisor, Dave Matravers, in this international journal. I move now to my second pleasure, that of postgraduate supervision. In 1986, I met Derek Wells from Canada, who was the best kind of PhD student. He showed initiative and was not afraid to take intellectual risks. Together with a master's student from Brazil, Francesco Sepulveda, we showed that an artificial neural network could be used to simulate the relationship between an input stimulus and the mechanical output of the system. The resulting article subsequently became one of my best known and most highly cited papers. We had thus brought the argument full circle. Neural networks had now given us insights into the function of the biological system itself. In the United States, the most prestigious grant awarding agency is the NIH, the National Institutes of Health. In 1989, I accepted an appointment in Charlottesville at the University of Virginia, with its beautiful academical village. During the Reagan-Bush era, the percentage of grants funded by the NIH fell from 54% in 1980 to just 15% in 1992. After a number of disheartening rejections, I did finally achieve success. I was so relieved that I promptly framed the letter from the NIH, and it now features prominently on my office wall. My wife, Joan, presented me with this cup, designed by Thomas Jefferson, and had it engraved. Following South Africa's first democratic elections in 1994, we bade farewell to the University of Virginia and returned to Cape Town. Fortunately for me, UCT and the provincial government of the Western Cape decided to fill the headship in biomedical engineering. My application was successful, and in May 1996 I became the second incumbent of the Hyman Goldberg Chair in Biomedical Engineering. Jaime was a good friend and golfing partner. As an academic leader, I was able to promote the careers of women scholars in our faculty, including nominations to the UCT College of Fellows and National Science and Technology Forum Awards. These activities gave me great pleasure, and yet they are nowhere to be found on my CV. I move now to my fifth pleasure, that of establishing a research group. In October 1979, Alan Cormack was awarded the Nobel Prize in Medicine for his contribution to the CAT scanner for An Idea Born in the Cape. He received the gold medal from the King of Sweden 2 months later. After Cormack's death in 1998, I was determined to create a research group that would honour his legacy, and with the financial support of the MRC, we launched the Medical Imaging Research Unit in May 2000. At the end of this second decade of the 21st century, our unit continues to be inspired by the idea that it is possible to perform world-class research here on the southern tip of Africa. One of the great privileges of academia is the sabbatical. In honour of Ernest Walton, Ireland's only Nobel laureate in the sciences, Science Foundation Ireland enabled me to spend 2003 in Dublin as a Walton Fellow. Ernest Walton shared the Nobel Prize in Physics with Englishman John Cockcroft in 1951 for their pioneering work in splitting the atom. Towards the end of my sabbatical, I wrote an article for the Irish Times on my experience entitled A Year in the Land of Saints and Scholars. The article included the 50th anniversary of the discovery of DNA structure by Watson and Crick in 1953. Trinity College invited James Watson to deliver a fascinating lecture on their groundbreaking research. During my sabbatical, I was presented with a biography on Ernest Walton that got me thinking, maybe I could do the same thing for Alan Cormack. Cormack is seen here the day his Nobel Prize was announced, giving a lecture to his undergraduate physics class describing his device seen on the right. It took me 4 years to research and write Imagining the Elephant, the enigmatic title inspired by a famous Indian legend. The Cape Town launch was special because it was attended by Mrs. Amy Reid, Alan Cormack's older sister, who had just celebrated her 90th birthday. The launch in Boston was also special because Alan's daughter Jean and his son Robert were both there. I attended my first Congress of the International Society of Biomechanics in August 1979, when I was a PhD student at the University of Iowa. 30 years later, I had the pleasure of hosting the biannual meeting of the Society here in Cape Town. For the major plenary sessions, we used the spectacular Baxter Theatre that it could accommodate the 600 delegates. Among the greatest pleasures was this feedback from the Society's president. We are indebted to you and your team for organizing a high-quality conference at affordable cost in such a spectacular location, and done in a way that made everyone feel good about being here. In summary, I've highlighted the pleasures of a life in academe, publishing, postgraduate supervision, securing an NIH grant, academic leadership, establishing a research group, a sabbatical year, a book launch, and hosting an international congress. For those of you who have just earned your doctorates, I hope that in 30 years' time, you will look back on your own careers and have experienced just some of the pleasures that have inspired me. Thank you very much.